Hi guys, Nick Scrutton here from Gimme again, and today we've got another exciting review for you guys. We're going to be looking at a part of the market where if you're an improving golfer looking to try and put some product in your bag to get you to the next level, or maybe if you're a low single digit guy who recently feels, or girl for that matter, who feels like you're just losing a little bit of distance and you need to give you that little bit of pop back into your long irons and your short irons, then this is going to be a review for you. Going to hit some shots, talk about the features of some fantastic product here. Stick around for it. So welcome back to the channel, and we've got an exciting review today for you guys. I've got four of the top manufacturers here. We've got a Ping product, the i530. We've got a Titleist product here, the T200. Callaway product, the AI200 from the Apex range, and finishing off the top four today is going to be the TaylorMade, the P790 iron. Now these four iron heads make up what would be described as the player's distance iron market. And it's a part of the market that's become hugely popular over the past, I would say, 10 years. And it's very dynamic, and it really encompasses a huge amount of golfers. And what do I mean by that? Well, I feel like you can get mid-handicap guys, mid-teen handicap guys, all the way down to single-digit, low single-digit players playing this sort of an iron, typically multi-construction, forged, and I'll go into each of these irons here, and they have a lot of similarities, believe me, but typically in terms of the profile of these heads, very playable, but there's a little bit of tech underneath the hood, and that also gives them that little bit of pop off the face. And that's quite important because that is going to give them the distance, or it's going to give you guys the distance that potentially you're requiring in your game to take you to the next level. So I'm going to give these guys here a bit of a hit for you. I'm going to do it slightly different today in the video. I'm going to give them a little bit of a grading. So I'm going to score each head out of 5 points, but I'm going to do it for looks, feel, and then overall performance as well. So I'll give you some scores, 5 being outstanding, 0 being not very good at all. Doubt I'm going to be dishing out any zeros today, but it's going to be exciting to see which of these guys comes out on top. Of course, it's all my opinion here and based on my perspective, but I'm completely agnostic here to the product. I don't have any allegiances to anybody, so I'll be as fair as I can to each of the heads. But I'm gonna hit some shots for you now. I'm gonna start with the Ping today. Let's get into it. Okay, so first up to bat is the Ping i530, and this is a hollow head design here, stainless steel in terms of the main construction of the body, but then this has a forged face in it. So multi-construction, and you'll see that'll be a common thing with all the heads that I try for you guys today. We've got some tungsten in the toe here, some toe weighting, which is going to add some stability to the head as well. Very similar to what you see in the rest of the Ping lineup here. So actually the technology you'll see in the i230 series as well. And then also the new G440 series, which I've done a review on already and performed excellently. So really this iron sits in the middle of that sort of player category there, I would say. Initially looking at it, nice sort of satin finish to it. It's a nice blade size. It looks absolutely fantastic. Loads of bag appeal if that's something that really interests you. You've got Ping's familiar little notch here now, which makes the heads a little bit easier to manipulate and bend when you're first getting fitted for the clubs, or if you need to retrofit them and manipulate them later on. But yeah, it's a fantastic looking head. Top line here for me is more sort of mid, I would say, and it's definitely a mid blade size, and I'm comparing that really to, from my perspective, you know, smaller blade heads, which are definitely thin top line, minimum amount of offset, all the way to that game improvement series that I've tested already, which would be the G440, which definitely generally has a little bit more offset and more of a thicker top line. This definitely, as a head, sits right in the middle there. Interesting feature here from Ping, they've actually got more grooves on the face than they have done in the past. So the groove spacing is smaller, and the reason they're doing that, and actually you've seen tour players do this before, notably Tiger Woods, and that's to give a little bit more spin, a little bit more control. It's quite interesting to see this in an iron of this sort of category here. But what they're basically trying to say is that this player, although they want a nice powerful head, and we'll see exactly how powerful it is in the hitting stage very soon, they also want an element of control and the correct spin as well. So I find that really interesting that they've added that feature in there as well. When you look down on the face, you can see there's a lot of groove there, but it's not something that would put you off. Bottom groove, a little bit of white infill. I've always thought that's a nice feature from Ping, just from an alignment perspective. So let's get into hitting. I've got one of Ping's stock offerings here. So this is the Dynamic Gold 100 mid in an S300. Nice shaft. I've used this shaft before. definitely gives a little bit more launch, a little bit more spin. I believe will probably complement this head very nicely, but I'll hit some shots now. Let's see how we get on with it. So looking down by the golf ball, it's a nice compact blade size, mid top line, like I mentioned earlier on, not a huge amount of offset to it. It's very pleasing on the eye, I have to say. We're in a simulator here, and obviously we've got down lighting here, but it has more of a sort of satin finish, certainly the top edge here, so it doesn't offer a huge amount of glare, which actually is quite nice as well. All right, so here's some shots there, and I have to say, what a beautiful iron, great performer. So if I'm going to score it, so if you remember, I said at the start of the session, I'm going to do looks, feel, and performance. So let's start with looks. I would say, if you're looking for an iron in this part of the market here, relatively compact, but still gives that little bit of forgiveness. You're going to expect something with a mid-top line to it and a little bit of offset, and that's exactly what this iron has, but not too much of it, which I think is really important as well. So for me, out of 5, I would probably give that a 4 in terms of the visuals of it, because in the bag, it's going to look great, but then also looking down by the golf ball, nice and compact, definitely an iron I could personally play. Feel-wise, so this, what I'm looking for here is acoustically how it sounds. One criticism I've had, I would say, of hollow head design heads in the past is they can sound a little bit tinny. That's because of the hollow nature of the head. As you can imagine, the acoustics sort of effectively bounce off the different walls, and it sounds almost driver-like in terms of that higher pitch. And that can be a bit of a problem for the better player who wants and has played softer irons in the past. I would say out of 5, this is going to be a solid 3 for me. It's not the best sounding head I've ever heard, not the worst either. So solid 3, I would say, in that category. And then performance. So what I'm looking for here is dispersion and distance. So worth noting, the 7-iron here is 29 degrees, so it's certainly around 3 degrees stronger than my typical 7-iron that I play. And you can see that in the performance as well. It was in and around sort of 6 to 7 yards longer with my better shots than my current gamer. Now, I'm not looking for out and out distance with my particular irons that I play, but if you are looking for a bit of extra pop, then this certainly provides it. And I really enjoyed the additional bit of ball speed that I was able to get there. All the way up to 123 miles an hour on my best strike. Overall dispersion was really good as well. The second swing there wasn't my best. Caught the ball a little bit low, a little bit heel, but I only saw 8 yards difference between my best shot and the drop off in terms of performance of that second strike that I had. So really, really important that as well. I've always thought from a fitting perspective, anything inside 10 yards front to back is very good. So I have to say the performance low on the blade here was really impressive for me. Yeah, for that, it's a solid 4 there. So overall, 11 out of 15, a really good start from the Ping. It's going to be quite hard to beat. Let's crack on with the others. Next up is the T200 by Titleist, and what a beautiful looking iron this is. If you thought the Ping was a good looking iron in terms of bag appeal, this might even steal the show again. It looks like you'd expect from a Titleist product. Very sleek, absolutely fantastic, nice clear lines on there. I would say the blade length is a little bit shorter than the Ping again. Midline definitely still top and moderate amount of offset to it. But geez, it's a good looking iron. It has more of that sort of mirrored look to it, so it really catches the light. It's going to be interesting when I get and put the blade down behind the ball to see if that sort of affects, if I get any reflection off that, so to speak. In terms of the tech side of it, again, hollow body, forged face. You've got dual material in here, so you had a little bit of tungsten in the Ping. You got a bit of tungsten in the Titleist as well, in the heel and the toe. Why they're doing that is to try and spread the sweet spot effectively, to try and give you higher MOI. And I did a video on that. Go and check that out, what MOI means. Higher MOI across the face, expanding that sweet spot, give you more performance off center. That's really where the manufacturers can take things nowadays. Not as strong in terms of the loft as where we are with the Ping. So it's going to be interesting to see if it can keep up with it in terms of the ball speed. But I'm going to hit some shots to it now. Let's find out. Got another stock option in here. This is the True Temper Dynamic Gold AMT Black that they offer in their irons. So I'm going to have a little look. Very similar to the DG Mid. It's designed to give a little bit more launch. Ascending mass technology, so a little bit lighter in the long irons, a little bit heavier in the shorter irons. but like for like, this is gonna be in the region of around 100 grams in the 7-iron. Down by the ball, again, nice compact head. I'd actually say a little bit more compact than the Ping, which is quite interesting. A fraction less offset as well. You can definitely see more of that mirrored look. It definitely reflects the light a little bit more, but not in a bad way. It looks absolutely gorgeous down by the golf ball. All right, so Titleist T200, have to say that was absolutely, what a beautiful iron to hit that was there. Down by the ball, a little bit more compact, but actually really enjoyed the visuals of it. Certainly the more sort of, in terms of the visuals of it, it didn't have that satin finish that you got from the Ping, but that didn't really affect me. Here in the simulator, it did sort of reflect a bit more of the light, but wasn't off-putting by any means, but beautiful design down by the golf ball, certainly. In terms of the performance, so let's start, again, grading it out of 5 there. So we're going to talk about looks to start with. For me, I think if I went with a 4 with the Ping product, then I'm going to have to go probably 4.5 here. I mean, 5 for me is going to be, it looks absolutely perfect. So I think 4.5, I think for this style of iron, it really does. It's a bit of a looker. And down by the golf ball, it looked fantastic. It really framed the ball beautifully. In terms of feel, again, if I've gone with 3 for the Ping, I'm going to have to go with a 4 here for the Titleist. Felt fantastic, really solid acoustic from it. Not particularly high pitched, which I think some of the previous Ping and Titleist product has sounded a little bit tinny in the past, but didn't really get that from this Titleist T200 product there. It sounded very, very solid. Love the sound of that. Definitely, again, an iron I could play. And then in terms of overall performance, really interesting. So, and I did mention it's a little bit weaker in terms of the loft. So definitely visually a slightly higher flight. And I would say also because of where the center of gravity in this particular head sits, I was expecting a little bit more launch and a little bit more spin to what I got on the i530, and that definitely happened. However, it didn't drop any ball speed. So distance-wise, it was, as you'll see from the graphic below, a few yards shorter than the Ping product was, the i530, but the peak height was actually a little bit higher. So from a long iron perspective, that would be quite appealing there. You know, I haven't really dropped any distance, but actually got a little bit more height. So I'm able to get a little bit more descent with my long irons. That for me would be really appealing. So performance-wise, if I went 4 with the Pings, I'm gonna have to again go 4.5. So really strong there, just to start with. Score-wise, takes first place off the Ping so far. Have to say, that's gonna be pretty hard to beat, but we're gonna hit now the Callaway and the TaylorMade product. Let's see how we get on with those. Okay, so third iron up, we've got the Callaway AI200. This is part of the Apex range. Now, I've played the Apex range in the past. I've had combo sets with the Apex Pro and the Apex, and I've always really enjoyed the Callaway product. I've always found it offers great feel, but also has that little bit of kick in the Apex range itself, which this would represent within the sets that I've played in the past. They've always had sort of that cup designed face here, which offers additional ball speed for you, and that's very similar. So again, hollow head, forged face, definitely more of a mid-top line here. Fraction of offset, I would say a bit more offset than what you've got in the Titleist product. Quite similar to where we were with the Ping, the i530. And it has more of that satin finish to it again, so it doesn't pop like the Titleist product does. Has a little bit more of that sort of gloss finish to it again, which isn't a bad thing. Certainly underneath the light here, it's not quite as bright down by the golf ball as I'll see in a second. They've got obviously this badge here where they've positioned some tungsten weighting right behind the impact zone, which again is going to give it that more sort of solid feel, but it's also going to help tune the CG placement. So you're going to get a little bit more launch, a little bit more spin. So loft on this is 30 degrees. So it sits right in between so far the Ping product, which was 29, the Titleist product, which was 30.5, and then 30 on the dot. So it sits right in between those two other heads. Let's give it a hit. So down by the golf ball. Again, I'd say very similar blade length to what we saw with the Ping and with the Titleist. Definitely not as long as they were in the past in this category here, but definitely a little bit more offset to this product here, and top edge a bit thicker certainly than the Titleist and the Ping, I would say, for that matter there. So far, it's a little bit chunkier all over than those two heads, I would say. Shaft-wise, haven't mentioned that, but again, I've got a Dynamic Gold Mid 100, S300. same as what I had in the Ping. All right, so Apex AI 200 forged. What did I think about that? Well, visually, I think I probably preferred the two other heads down by the golf ball, I would say. Definitely more of a top line, slightly chunkier, a little bit more offset to it as well. But if you're looking for something that offers a little bit more forgiveness, I would say, or even something that maybe even a little bit more draw bias, this might be the product for you because of those two features. So if you find a couple of the other heads a little bit too intimidating in terms of the size of them, that might be actually one of the benefits of the AI 200 iron head there for you. In terms of off the face, so if I get into my scoring now, because performance-wise, it wasn't quite as long as the other two heads, it was a couple of yards down. Dispersion was quite similar, I would say, overall. So that it didn't outperform the other two heads, but it was certainly in the reckoning with them as well. If I'm looking at the visuals in terms of the looks, I would say not my favorite of the three heads, probably sits behind the Titleist and probably behind the Ping, which is quite interesting because I've played Callaway product in the past, but I wouldn't say that's my favorite looking Callaway head. So I'm going to give it a 3 for looks. In terms of the feel, again, nice and crisp. Acoustically, it didn't sound as good, certainly as the Titleist product. Probably on a bit of a par with the Ping, but actually I think the Ping probably pipped it in that category as well. But I would say it's probably going to be a 3 for me in terms of the feel off the blade there as well. And then finally, performance. Well, dispersion was pretty good. Actually didn't fly as high as the Titleist product. It's 30 degrees, as I mentioned earlier on, so it's not quite as weak in terms of loft. It's only half a degree, I know, but certainly the Titleist gave me a little bit more initial height. Ball speed, it was a couple of miles an hour down. This could be strikes, by the way, as well, but I felt like a hit there was pretty solid, but it was a couple of miles an hour down on the Titleist and the Ping product as well. So if I've gone for 4.5 for the Titleist and I've gone for 4 for the Ping, I think I'm probably going to have to come in with a 3.5. So not the best review there, or not the strongest review of the free product I've hit so far for the Callaway. Really nice head. It will definitely suit a type of golfer, but I think so far, for me, personally, in my perspective, not as strong as the other two heads so far. And finally, on to the last head, which is the TaylorMade P790. So there's been numerous iterations of this iron head now over the past sort of 8 to 9 years. And I have to say, this one is probably the best looking version they've brought out to date. Really like what they've done. They've almost simplified the design here. You know, very simple. You just got the P790 just on the back here. Blade length, they've brought it. It's definitely a little bit shorter than previous models, and it doesn't have anywhere near as much offset as what I've seen in some of the previous P790 models as well. They've still got the speed slot in here. And again, hollow head construction, 4340 forged face. They've got the speed foam injected into the pocket cavity here. So again, they're able to go, they've gone stronger with the face material. They're saying this is 24% more forgiving across the face because they've gone stronger with the actual material in the face. They've gone thinner, they've expanded the sweet spot, higher ball speed. I mean, this iron's always been known for its ball speed, and with that sometimes comes quite low spin. So I'm gonna see how it compares to the other 3 models that we've got there, but visually looks stunning, looks fantastic. They've done a really good job on this, I have to say. So let's hit some shots. Let's see how we get on with it. So let me give you an initial feel down by the golf ball. Definitely a little bit squarer than some of the other head designs. What I mean by that, so I'm talking about the shape of the top line into the toe, and then how it sort of transitions into the hosel as well. For me, the lines are a little bit squarer. They're not as round as the Titleist, the Callaway, or the Ping. A bit more of that squareness to it. Definitely doesn't have as much offset as previous P790 models. I would say offset-wise, pretty similar to where we are with the Titleist T200. It's a really good looking iron. It's got the mirror finish, and it's got a little bit of the satin to it, so it's got a bit of a mixture of everything that we've seen in the other irons so far. I've got another one of their stock options in here. This is the Modus Tour 105 in an S-Flex, so maybe marginally heavier than the other shafts that I've tried today, but I don't think it's going to throw off the performance a huge amount. Let's hit some shots. Okay, so that's all four in the bay that I've hit there. That's the P790, which was the last iron. And I have to say, they've done a great job on that, TaylorMade. Well done. Beautiful looking iron, definitely an improvement, I think, visually. Bag appeal, bundles of it, and performance, it performed really well there for me as well. Visually, you know, looking down on that, I prefer this sort of square lines. That's my personal preference. Maybe opposed to the guys who like more rounded sort of lines. You might prefer maybe the Titleist or the Ping heads. So let's have a little look at how it performed as well. So 30 degree 7 iron, so it's the same as the Titleist. Sorry, the Titleist was half a degree weaker, but it was the same as the Callaway, 1 degree weaker than the Ping. And you kind of can see that in the numbers. Certainly the Ping offered a little bit more punch, fraction more ball speed, slightly less spin, I would definitely say. So the peak height was a little bit lower out of the Ping, and that performed really well. Then you had the Titleist, which because of the loft being a fraction more, and because of that CG placement being a little bit deeper, offered very good ball speeds, but certainly a higher flight. Then you had the Callaway, which I would say was right in between those irons in terms of the way it performed, in terms of the ball speed. It wasn't quite as high, certainly as the Ping. And the spin was sort of moderate on there as well. So it really sat between those first two. And then the TaylorMade. And I would say this one here, really very similar to the Titleist. So great ball speed, offered loads of peak height there for me. Felt like I could launch it. And if we're going to look at it, let's give it the grading. Drum roll, please. So I'm looking for looks. I'm going to give that the same as what I gave the Titleist. So 4.5, you know, for me, visually, love the look of that. Could definitely game a set of those, put them in the bag, be proud of them. In terms of the feel, again, I'm going to go with a solid 4 there. I'm not going for 5s with any of the product because I still feel like if you go for that more solid one-piece forging head, you're getting that ultimate bit of feedback, and that's ultimately what I'm comparing it to and looking for. So it's worth saying that as well. And then when it comes down to the performance, well, it gave me everything that I needed there. Gave me the ball speed, gave me the peak height. Dispersion was fantastic on it as well. Very comparable to the Titleist. And for that reason, I'm going to give it a 4.5. So it's a dead heat between the Titleist and the TaylorMade there at the top of the leaderboard, followed by the Ping, followed by the Callaway. Overall, 4 fantastic products, I have to say. I was really impressed with all of them. They would definitely suit particular golfers, and they're all worth a try as well. So please go out, give them a hit, and let me know in the comments below what you think of them all. Yeah, 4 fantastic products. Really interested to hear what you guys think. If you've enjoyed the review here, please give it a like. If you haven't already, give the channel a subscribe as well. And yeah, get in the comments below. I want to hear what you guys think. Do you game these irons already? Do you play previous models? Are you looking to upgrade? Has that review changed your mind on them? Could you be tempted into a new set? Look forward to seeing you in the next review now. All the best.